All right, we're good to go.
All right, so being 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, November 15th, 2023, and having a quorum, I'll go to item 1 on the agenda. We'll call the Bridgewater Planning Board meeting to order. I'll just read the remote meeting guidelines that we have. So this meeting is being held remotely in accordance to the provisions of the open meeting law. Pursuant to the governor's approval of the supplemental budget bill, temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law have been extended to March 31st, 2025. Specifically, this further extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at a meeting location, and to provide adequate and alternative access to remote meetings. The language of the extension does not make any substantive changes to the open meeting law, other than extending the expiration date of the temporary provisions regarding remote meetings from March 31st, 2023 to March 31st, 2025. Members of the public are encouraged to participate remotely and shall address the questions to the chair of the board. The following members are participating remotely this evening. I'm Patrick Driscoll, the chair, Mr. Raymond Ajemian, Mr. Michael McDonald, the vice chair, Mr. Stephen Geller. Ms. Rojas is not with us this evening, and we have an alternate member, Mr. Edward Ted Haley, with us this evening. Ms. Pagone is not with us?
That's correct. Ms. Pagone will be missing this meeting.
The following Bridgewater Town staff are also participating remotely. Mr. Shane O'Brien, the town planner, Ms. Christy Jane, the assistant town planner, Mr. Greg Tansey, the town engineer. Is Mr. Solari with us this evening? No,
I don't believe so.
Okay. At this time, everyone's mics are muted. The board's mics will be unmuted through the whole meeting, and as items appear on the agenda, the project's representatives' mics will be unmuted. If this is a public hearing or allows public comment, we ask that you use the chat feature to ask your question by listing your name, your address, and your question. The chair or the host will recognize you in all questions at all. You can use the raise my hand feature in the participant menu, and you'll be muted when the chair or the host recognizes you. Again, please state your name and address before asking a question. If you're on the phone, you can dial *9 to raise your hand. Okay. We do have a public hearing continued. This is 456 Bedford Street, map 62, lots 34 and 8. It's a proposed expansion of the parking count pursuant to section 10.6. Is the applicant with us this evening?
Yes, Mr. Israel Ishmael is here. But just as a preface for this as well, I know Bob Rulli is not here tonight. So from my understanding in communicating with Bob, he did go out to the site as well as Building Inspector Solari. Bob sent out a certified letter stating some of the issues that they have at 456 Bedford Street, which the board brought up. So Bob has been working with the owner of that property. They do have, I believe, dumpsters coming, as well as they are thoroughly cleaning up the site. Bob gave them about 30 days to clean up the site without, or they'd be issuing a violation, and they are obliging with that. So I just wanted to give that feedback, and I'll let it
Yes.
go over to the applicant. You're good to go, Israel.
Do you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes. I am Israel from 456 Bedford Street from Elite Motors. I'm representing Elite Motors. We've been trying to extend the parking space numbers in the in our applied application. Already all the information is known for everybody so far, I know. But this time Spruhan Engineering did not represent. Is because every time they show they're charging huge numbers, and we haven't get the result, and this is being costing, especially nowadays. It's kind of tough for us to handle that numbers, so that's why they haven't represented. But if there's any question possible, I will try to answer.
What is the last name of the listing?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Pat. What was that?
Is your last name Liston, Listen, is that correct?
No, it's Israel Ismail. I think that's just a,
Israel Ismail.
Yep.
I'm the owner of the business.
So has there been any cleanup other than the scuffles and potential dumpsters? I mean, the site's a disaster. I've been out there a few times. It's rough. Has there been any
In my
cleanups?
knowledge,
What's that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you well. Would you repeat the question again?
Which of the site has been cleaned up?
I think he
Um,
asked is the site been cleaned up?
Yes, I'm out of country. It is but in my knowledge, all the request has been done. It's been completed. That's what
I don't know if it doesn't look like the site's a mess. In addition, I don't know if you can pull up the site plan, Shane.
Yeah, I can pull it up. I can pull you want the most recent site plan?
Yeah, I mean, the parking plan is still terrible. Like we talked about, in the front of the building, we require parking spaces to be 18 feet deep. There's 5 feet behind those spaces to get to Route 18. The parking on the, I guess that would be the south side of the building, blocks the door. There's still no, circulation pattern to have one, safe entrance or egress. There's still just cars all over the place. There's still trash all over the site. It looks like stuff is still in the wetlands. I mean, I don't know. I'll open it up to the board comments.
I have sent a bunch of pictures and materials that it shows that there's a actually huge space. I've got them, most of them from the Google map, that it shows clearly there's a huge space to enter to the property, turn around, come out, and also in front of the building there's even when you put the two cars head to head, there's still much more space to 3 cars if you put head to head, and there's still much more space to turn around and do any kind of maneuvers you want. There's a space for that.
And that's where the engineer would be helpful. If you look at the front of the building, you have 5 parking spaces in front of the building. Based on the plan, Mr. O'Brien showing.
Yeah, so just as
those are 5 feet to Route 18.
so I guess
if you back half the car, you're on Route 18.
so just in terms of creating a discussion regarding this, are there parking spaces on this plan that the board, because currently for this project, there are 50 parking spaces allowed via the license. And with that license, there is not a site plan associated with it. So parking exists anywhere and everywhere with this site. That was, I would believe, an oversight of the original licensing of this originally. So as part of what we're looking at here is the allowance of additional parking spaces over 50 in order for Israel to get additional parking for his license. Because right now, in terms of zoning enforcement for the site, all that we have is the zoning enforcement to not allow for more than 50 spaces. So regarding the site plan, the original site plan that was provided was 71 cars. The most latest one shows 68 parking spaces. I do still have some concerns about some of these parking spaces. I'd note that 68 parking spot 68, as well as I agree with the chair's concerns in terms of parking spots 1 through 5, in terms of locating cars. I'm just trying to think of from a board perspective, is there certain parking spaces or a solution to that we should look at to remove to still kind of go over that number 50, as well as kind of have a site plan on record for this site in order to better enforce some of these issues down the road.
I mean, personally, I think the site needs to be cleaned up for us. It's a mess. Right?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one quick question?
They're doing it.
The Mr. O'Brien pointed out that that the cleanup is in progress right now, and that my question is there any connection between the cleanup and the site plan? In other words, are we talking about the cleanup being separate from the site plan, that doesn't pertain to the site plan at all? Or are we
Ju-
looking at it as two things together?
Could I answer that?
Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Jamie, if you look at the aerial view of the site, I mean, there is just debris all over the site in the wetland.
I understand that though, but I mean, is that part of our analysis of this site plan? That's all I'm asking.
Well, I think from a circulation and a safety point, I mean, how do we want to expand the use that already has a number of issues? I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Well, I would say that the recommendations that we got out of this, Pat, is that we've asked for, through this design, for at least a 20-foot aisle to come in and out of the site, which doesn't exist right now. So being that this site plan would be the site plan on record, and Israel would have to follow it as the owner, or any owner would have to continue to locate vehicles within these spaces, there is at least 24 feet for an existing drive aisle that right now there is no enforcement action to ask for because it's just an existing site. Because there was no site plan on record existing, and then the licensing for it didn't have a plan attached to it. Simply put, it's been a use.
Where's the handicap spots?
Well, that was part of one of the things as part of my memo is that there should be handicap parking.
How do you get into the building? Isn't the door on the side where the car's blocking it now?
No, I completely agree. That's why I think we should have the conversation of which of these parking spots that are shown on this plan should be removed if we want to progress this moving forward.
That's where I think that's up to the engineer. I mean, we have rules and regs. I mean, you can't safely back a car up to 5 feet between Route 18 and, I mean, that's ridiculous. There's
Yeah, but
23, there's 23.9 feet and a stall is 18 feet in length.
I would say leaving it up to the engineer at this point, they removed 4 spaces and we're not satisfied. So I think that from our perspective as a board, I think we can look at some of these parking spots and say, we don't want this, we don't want these. Let's remove parking spot 68. Let's remove parking spots 1 through 5. Let's remove parking spots 6 through 9, and then still get something out of it where we'll have a more organized situation over there, and a plan that we can enforce it with.
How about we continue it until the site's cleaned up, and when the site's cleaned up, we can look at it as a safe site and expand it and then consider it.
I would say that I think we should provide some constructive feedback and then kind of proceed this so we don't get into a situation where we're waiting.
I mean, my perspective is spots.
Where in the building is the door to get in?
Let me pull up
It's terrible.
let me pull up the Google Maps.
Spots 1 through 5 have to go.
All right, you can see my screen.
Yeah.
So this is the front of the building as it is now.
No, I can't see a screen. That's all we see is the
Oh, let me pull it up. Sorry.
the plan.
So this is the Google Map view that was provided to us. So in all its glory.
Door in the front there with their parking spaces.
So in front of parking space 8 and 9 there's an overhead garage door. There's a door around the front, that's approximately between space 3 and 4.
Yeah, I don't think you have any spaces in the front, Steve. How do you can't back out? You're on Route 18. You have 5 feet.
I'll pull back up the.
It's not our job to design a project.
So I just have a question that So that building is actually 23 feet off of 18? That white
According to-
line?
According to the
22.9.
survey and the engineer, yes. Pascal. So just, I guess based on looking at that, the elimination of parking spots 1 through 5 are in play, as well as I would recommend probably 68 as well. But you could look at potentially 6 through 9 as well.
Do they use that overhead door for anything?
Would ask the applicant that question.
Do you use the overhead door? You're on mute. Mr. Ismail, you're on mute. Do you use that overhead door?
No, we
Yep.
don't use it.
What does that overhead door lead into? Is that a garage that you work in?
It's a garage type of thing, but it don't you can't fit a car inside, or it is just some kind of empty place stays in there, like we are not using it. It's like some storage place, such a room size place. And ceiling is a low in there that you can't use it for any kind of service or car storage or nothing. If I'm not wrong, there must be a couple of motorcycles just stays in there.
So you don't utilize it for
No.
repairs or anything.
No.
Okay. All right. I know Pat is, I guess, muted right now. So I think he's just trying to figure out his technical difficulties. So is there any other board comments on this?
But I think with that being said, I think if you're, your handicap parking space is supposed to be as close as possible to the entrance of your building, so. I mean, yeah, I would agree that 1 through 5 is actually too close to any cars backing out on Route 18. I think if you space out your spots and maybe stripe out a handicap spot, you may lose one more between 6 and 9. I'm not quite sure where 68 actually falls on the property. Is there a reason why you're recommending that one, Shane?
Oh no, where 68? Why
Lot 68 is?
Yeah, I just don't like I think the stacking there, it creates a bit of a mess where you have
Okay.
you have parking spots 64 through 67, and then you got stacked parking at 68 and 63. It just, that parking space at 68 really doesn't, that car essentially is trapped. Whereas you can pretty much move at least one vehicle around for the other ones. Or I just, that spot kind of makes it messy. Whereas I think if you can put spot 63 directly parallel with 62, it creates, I guess, a better situation.
I have a question. If we eliminate those 5 spots, what's going to be there then? You just have open asphalt?
Well, yeah, I think so, Ray. I think if you look at what there was an ass, and that might be a place where he can put his, maybe you can make a perpendicular handicap spot right in front. But I'm not a parking engineer or consultant, but you might as well try and use that space to paint it as much as possible.
Well, all I'm saying is if we're eliminating those spots and we're gonna have empty space, maybe we should define what that space is being used for, because if it's just left asphalt, then people will just park anything there.
Well, they are, and that's why maybe I
That's my
suggested
point,
that
though. Maybe we should clean it up.
I'm suggesting that maybe he talks to his engineers to put 1 or 2 handicap parking spaces that are parallel to the building.
You know, I think that site still needs a major cleanup, and I think it's up to the engineer to design the site. I think if we get into designing it, it's a problem. We have rules and regs. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're designing it, Pat. I think we're just giving our suggestions of what we think will work.
I mean, 1 through 5.
I mean,
I would agree with Shane. 1 through 5 has to go. 68 has to go, and probably 2 of the 8 through 9, 6 through 9. And they need to have a handicap spot somewhere, or whatever it requires based on the number of parking spaces. And there's no improvements being proposed to this. I saw in one of our original letters that it was going to be repaved, but that's not happening. It's going to be
I'm sorry, I'm having hard time with understanding, hearing you. Voice didn't
It's
come.
just gonna be the site in terms of safety for people walking and on the site. There's no improvements to the site in terms of asphalt or anything, is that correct?
That's
You're not
correct.
Yeah, that was one of our questions early on, I guess. I think that was a misprint on my behalf on the memo. I probably took it from a different project, but yeah, all parking spaces are to be located on the impervious surface that's existing. So if we were talking about an actual increase in pervious surface, then we're talking stormwater and but based on the way that the ordinance reads, it's the additional parking spaces as part of this project kind of triggers a really minor site plan review that we're looking over.
Everything is gonna be paved, everything that is being parked on is paved, is that correct?
Yes.
You know, I mean, I know it is a minor site plan, but at the same time, the site has major issues. I mean, it's a mess. And I think adding additional vehicles to that site without a proper cleanup and without making sure it's safe is a bad thing.
And like I stated earlier, Mr. Rulli has sent out a letter and the owner, not the applicant, is performing a cleanup effort as we have sent on behalf of the Conservation Commission, essentially what is a means of a pre-violation there. So as part of this, and I did send over potential conditions of a decision, is that if there's any other violations from a conservation perspective, they're happy to pursue that, whether it be through DEP or just the Conservation Commission itself, as well as future action for extinguishing the permit if these proper guidelines are not followed or these parking spaces are being neglected as well.
I mean, given that it took them coming before us for an expansion for this current violation to even be detected, that's kind of a cold comfort to me. This was a long-standing issue. I mean, I'm quite familiar with the site. Anyone does motorsports in the town of Bridgewater is familiar with the site one way or another, put it that way. So, I mean, saying, oh, well, if they fail again, we'll go after them when they've been failing for decades.
Why don't we do this? I mean, parking spaces need to be removed for safety reasons and for access and whatnot. Why don't we continue it out a month and see, get a revised plan that we can consider and not design on the spot? Have them put the proper handicap spot in, have them leave proper access, have them get spots off of Route 18 within 5 feet. And get the site cleaned up and, or at least get a plan to clean up the site and then reconsider it.
All right, so I guess, Israel, I guess the recommendations that were coming out of here is that I know that it would probably pain you to hear this, but in terms of going back to Spruhan, to have a plan that shows the elimination of parking spots 1 through 5 and potentially handicap parking over there. The elimination of parking
I
spot.
don't know if handicap parking belongs there. I mean, that has to be within, so that's Mr. Solari, has to be within so many feet of the door, correct?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Doesn't the handicap parking have to be within so many feet of the primary access?
Yeah, there's gonna have to be handicap parking for this as well. I know the intent for these parking spots is to be utilized for vehicle sales, but there's got to be at least an ADA space located on here.
Where are the employees?
I'm sorry.
Where are the employees parking? And where are the customers parking?
We
It-
have two cars that's being parked over there, and then that's included inside of this parking space.
You don't have any employee parking, you don't have any customer parking.
Well, there's enough space for everybody else to park and tons of cars to be able to park. I am not requesting something that's not really that's gonna make the space short and tight in there. It's kind of hard to explain this in this plot plan, but there's a space. I don't know how to explain this to you guys right now in here, but once you guys visit there, you gotta really see that there's a huge space. It's a big property, and there's a space to park for the people or for the customer, for the employee. But if this answer is not reasonable for you guys, I would understand and respect. But this is just one fact that there's really a lot of space.
I guess we could recommend that maybe if for, I guess, looking at the parking ordinance for, I guess, a size of a building like this, you're looking at probably one employee space, Pat. One or two spaces, but I think those could possibly be located at 15 and 16. Or adjacent, or have the parking space utilized adjacent to the commercial building as customer parking. I think my biggest,
Say something?
Mr.
Israel, what I'm thinking, you should make a plan which shows the employee parking with customer parking and also your car parking, and also eliminate some of your parking, like one plan which have all the three elements.
We need a new plan. I think an update on it.
Okay, I'm gonna request that from the Spruhan Engineering to point it out exactly where the customer parking and
yeah, let me, I'll
employee parking and
yeah, coming out of this meeting, Pat, I'll work with you in terms of drafting an email, or I'll just draft an email. It just kind of specifying the outcome kind of this meeting. And then we can,
I think we plan that meets the concerns about circulation and safety and access and handicap parking, all those issues. And I think we need a better commitment or an update on the cleanup. You know, I don't see any cleanup happening out there. I heard there were dumpsters there, then I heard there were dumpsters coming. I mean, we met over a month ago and appears to be no progress. So,
well, there's been progress in the sense that we sent a letter to the owner, which took some time. And then they are probably getting a dumpster, whether it be from some sort of site, to clean it all up because it's been a mess for a long time. So we're actually making progress on actual cleaning up of the site compared to what we've done in the past while ignoring it.
we're going to a meeting in second meeting in December or January.
Yeah, we got a meeting on December 6th and December 20th, so I'll leave it up to you guys. But I just wanted to let you know
December
also if there's any
20th.
public.
If it's okay, we can make this meeting because I'm out of country and I'm gonna be there back by between 10 and 15th of December, and I'll be in person dealing with these things. Other than that, I know that they have complete whatever is being requested from them to remove the motorcycles, do whatever necessary. But if there's any additional thing that we have to do or that the landlord have to do, he's willing to do. He's not ignoring the expectation. But I'll be in person over there and then do what's necessary by that time to get this through. So
All right,
this is
yeah,
what
I would put the engineer that's working on this in the next call as well.
and if you guys can send a written mail to my landlord and say exactly what you guys want him to do.
we have.
And yeah, also for my plot plan, whatever's the request, if you guys can send me a mail or email, and I can
Will.
deliver that to Spruhan Engineering to get it done so we can close this
We're going to.
conversation. Yes, I would appreciate that.
All right, Pat, do you want to take any public comment or is there any other board comment?
Any board comment at this point? Any other board comment?
Oh,
And other things too, I mean, you start to think about the site plan, do there need to be bollards where the cars are pulling in front of the building, I mean, do there need to be stops? I mean, an engineer needs to look at this and properly design it.
Right, I just want to get closer to some sort of decision-making effort, as I think with this site plan will be, albeit cleaning up the site compared to what is currently there now. So, but yeah, I can,
But I think this design, it creates a lot of safety issues too.
sure, so that's why we're recommending the removal of spaces. So,
Do we have a motion to continue this to December 20th?
So moved.
I'll second it.
By Mr. Debbie.
Yeah.
I will take the roll. Mr. Haley, you're gonna vote on this, correct? Mr.
Ted,
Haley?
Ted, you're gonna be able to vote to continue, yes.
And, Mr. Demian,
Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Geller,
yes,
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
and me, yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3, the planning board discussion, 14 Summer Street, discussion of CO and conditions of minor modification. Is the applicant with us this evening or representatives?
Yes, we have Christine Barbady here. Oh, no, you're muted.
Okay,
Oh, we also have Rebecca Baptiste from Silva Engineering.
Yes, I am here as well. I can put the plan on the screen if you want.
I will, give me 1 second to allow for it.
You
Yeah,
bet.
you're good. You're good.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
Chris. All right, so I'll just give some, I guess, history quickly. I believe it was a May meeting earlier this year. The board granted a kind of a CO for the apartments for this project, and a list of recommendations and demands for the next viewing of this project. So working with Christine on some of these changes, as well as some of these changes to the as-built plan that I looked over. I did a site visit to the site yesterday. Had a couple comments and sent some pictures to the board, but I will let them kind of explain where they're at and what their expectations are.
me, am I on?
You are.
on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, this is just, from the May, I think it was like the May 3rd meeting. So we had some requirements that we did and I think we, reached all the requirements that we needed to do.
So Rebecca from Silver Engineering. We did a survey last week for the changes that were made to the parking in front for the handicap in the ramp area. At the time we had done the survey, the railings and the handicap sign hadn't been removed. So the pictures on this plan in front of you actually reflect a week ago. Ashmont, I know, has installed the railings. I believe the handicap sign was moved appropriately.
Yes.
I wasn't there to see it. Okay, thank you. So although this plan doesn't show that from a week ago, we can, if the board wishes, to update the final plan to show those things. Oh, and I added the impervious surface to calculation that I know the board had wanted to see as well.
And just for information's sake as well, for the board, I did forward over an email provided from Mrs. Barbady regarding the property owners of the trustees adjacent to the property. In the previous decision, I think the board asked for that to be removed or I think ripped up. Whereas the trustees had informed Miss Barbady that they were okay with it and there's a potential for leasing of that property in the future.
I think that run it, I guess I'm okay with it, but typically we'd ask for an easement or something, wouldn't we?
Well, it's not on their property, so they're not using it. It's more so they just paved over it and then put a concrete pad. But it's not on their property and they're not using it at this time.
Any board questions about the project?
What was that?
Are there any board questions for the applicant on the project?
I can't, you're mumbling. I
She
can't.
was-
Can you guys, are there any board questions at this point?
Any what?
She's
question.
asking the
Oh,
planning
okay,
board.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
Oh, I got one question, Shane. In the pictures that were sent to us, it looks like part of the asphalt, the bottom of the ramp is washing out. Is that really happening?
In regards to the,
Or is that just a patch? That's-
I think it was, I think that was the patch. Let me bring
Yeah,
up that.
yeah, yeah, let me
That-
stop.
That's
Sure.
an old.
I haven't,
Yeah, let me pull up what I sent over to the board.
yeah, because I haven't seen it, but it was a patch, I believe, to make the slope accessible.
Let me just pull it up quick for you guys.
The other question I have, you guys hear me all right? Okay.
Barely.
Kind of in and out, Pat.
Got that on that?
No.
No
Typical,
change.
Pat, let's hearing you.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Very light. I'll just pull up the image for,
So the question I have is the planter. It looks like it's just wood now. Wasn't that supposed to be a monolithic brown or concrete?
That was my next question, Pat, too.
But it looks like it wasn't even cut into the pavement. It looks like it's sitting on the pavement. Is that correct?
this is a question regarding the landscape island that's made out of pressure treated wood. I think on the original plan, it was shown as a Cape Cod berm.
If you look at it, it looks like there's a plastic membrane that looks like it's just sitting on top of the asphalt and not even cut in. I mean, it looks like one cat hits that thing's done. I mean, I don't think we've ever allowed wood for curbing before.
Let me share both of your things. So this is,
There you go.
yeah.
Oh,
So you're talking
Correct. If
about,
you zoom in on that, it looks like you're getting washout on your patch that is just going to impede the.
I think it's
impede
mulch.
access.
Is
It
that,
is.
It is not.
Yes, the sprinkler guys were in there and they washed out the sprinklers and it hit the mulch to the left and it washed up the mulch down. So that's what
Well,
that
that's
is.
mulch, not asphalt deterioration.
No, it's mulch, yes.
yeah,
mulch.
that looks like mulch. They had a
That's
dark
mulch.
mulch. Yeah, see, they had a dark mulch.
so I guess,
But it's-
yeah,
It
The
didn't come
question-
from that, it came from the side of the building when
Mhm.
where the sprinklers were. The mulch on the side of the building washed out when they opened up the sprinklers.
Okay.
Is,
The
is
question-
is there a reason the island was done in PT as opposed to what was on the plan?
Because we already had I guess they already paved over with the asphalt, so, we were gonna do a Cape Cod berm, but I think that just would have been run over by cars. I think the railroad ties would be, the cars will at least hit it before they know that they're driving over it. I think it was more of a barrier, more of a solid barrier than the Cape Cod berm and just a built-in island.
Oh, the plows are gonna tear this up in your first snowstorm.
And Rebecca, looking at one we got into the asphalt, it looks like it was just sat on top, correct?
Yeah, but if we dug into the asphalt, then we're gonna, when the first freeze and rain is gonna destroy the asphalt in the parking lot going down. I mean, I know to dig up the hole, to dig up the asphalt and then put an island in there. We just thought that would be the best to have the railroad ties would be more of a barrier to stop the cars.
Do you have an opinion on that?
Was that Pat?
Mr. James, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I would think that a lot of patrons would not want to bump into that, the railroad tie situation because they don't want to damage the car. A lot of these cars have low riding bumpers and air dams and whatnot underneath them. Clearly, a tire stop would be a much, more structurally sound material. But I mean, if they want to go with a tire stop, if it's a maintenance issue, they might after a while voluntarily swap it out. So
It's in a tricky spot, the island. It's very tight. So we did this and then I think we're just gonna have to go forward and figure out, how, once we open, how it works and then go from there and adjust it from there. But, those are the requirements. We put that in. The Cape Cod berm, I think people would just, plows, everything, it would have been useless. So that's why we did the wood there to raise it up a little bit. We asked if we could do like a big planter, so at least cars would see it, but, I think it's a good start to see how it will work, and then we can go forward from there and see what happens. I mean, it's a tricky spot, so it's, our options were kind of, limited, so, that was like the open space plan that was supposed to be in there, and, unfortunately, they paved over the whole parking lot, so,
Mr. Chair, if I could add to that.
Sure.
If the intent and the original plan was to have a planted island, in the end, this is going to last longer for the plants because if it was a low Cape Cod berm, it was going to get run over, it was going to get plowed over. So if the intent of the planted island is just to keep the plants, this will do that much better. And if they have to maintain it
Well,
more often,
it appears the asphalt is 3 inches below the soil.
Okay, yes, so it's not gonna infiltrate any water into the ground, but you're gonna have the greenhouse, the trees, the vegetation giving off happy vibes,
But
for the whole area.
Just for safety and stuff, though, if somebody hits that, how is that, if it's not cut into the asphalt, how is it secured to the asphalt?
Well, that would be a construction question. How did they put that in? Did they put it down with rebars? I don't know. I cannot verify how they did that.
Because if you just touch that thing, that whole thing's gonna move. It's not safe. If it's not, and that's why typically that would be cut into the asphalt. And you'd have curbing and then there'd be.
Yep.
Be material inside. And they just, instead of cutting that area out, they took some landscape ties, threw them on top and threw some loom on top of the asphalt. So how, if a car touches that thing, how does that not move? The whole thing.
Does Christine know how they installed?
It's pretty solid. I don't think it is drilled into the asphalt. But we could do that if we needed to. It's a tricky spot and we're just trying to figure it out. And, it's gonna be, hit or miss with the cars coming and going. It's, so,
Any other board
we thought
thoughts,
that.
Mr. Geller?
I mean, I would agree. I don't think it's gonna last. I mean, I would have rather see you cut the asphalt and put in a, precast concrete, curbing. That would last. I'm not quite sure by looking at the picture and the as-built plan, does it actually narrow in one end and widen on the other?
Yes. It widens back towards the fence and it narrows out.
Yeah, that's similar to what was designed on the original plan. As well as on the original plan, there was no precast or vertical granite curbing proposed for this site or approved. It was all Cape Cod berm.
For the monolithic with the top of the pavement, so no, we can't do that. Right?
Right.
So, Mr. O'Brien, when are they looking to open, Mr. O'Brien?
I would leave that up to the applicant.
How high does that actually come up above the asphalt?
4 inches, 5 inches.
I would say a foot at least. It's the two railroad ties.
I would say about going to the site about, yeah, like 10 inches.
10, 12 inches.
When are you trying to open, so we don't hold you up?
Christine, when are you trying to open?
When are you trying to open?
That's the question of the year. We're just waiting on our electrical work. We're trying to open the next month. We're hoping.
Based on, I agree with Mr. Geller. I mean, that needs to be something more permanent, like a poured concrete or a prefab concrete berm, and that needs to be cut out. It's the only way it's gonna last. So how about, if that has to be done prior to the CO, or they can put a bond up to have it done, just so we don't hold up their opening. From the board.
Say that again, Pat?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? No.
Barely.
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah.
We can hold them up and they can open. Why don't we just make it a condition that if they're gonna open in a month, that's just cut out and done with precast concrete prior to opening, and if they can't have it done prior to opening, they have to put up a bond with chain and open, so we don't hold them up. I mean, I think if we start, we can't have, I mean, it's a slippery slope for us. We can't hold people to certain standards and then have railroad tie items put in later on top of asphalt. I don't think it's a good practice. I don't think it's safe. I don't think it'll last. And then, we try to hold people to a high standard. I think we need to, let's work with them so they can open, but other things.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that condition, so it doesn't hold them up and then keep moving forward and just have to change it and make it work.
Mr. Tansey, at this point, you think the best thing, I mean, we don't need to make them do granite. I think that's probably overkill, right? But at this point where you can't do a monolithic berm, is the concrete, the precast.
Well, I'm sorry, just to interrupt quickly. I would say that you can't ask for something beyond what was approved. I would say that the Cape Cod berm is what was existing on the site plan is what we can ask for.
All
I
right.
wouldn't say, so that's what I would say.
Yeah, I would say that a Cape Cod berm will hold up a lot better than a bituminous berm, a 6-inch bituminous berm. That would get wiped out very, very quickly. So I would favor the Cape Cod berm. It would be a more durable berm.
Yeah, that's fine. Do it. I mean, all we're asking to do is what's on the plan. So if that's on the plan, that's fine.
Right. It's just a question of if we want to tie the CO to some sort of bond in the meantime. So I'm assuming just based on the,
I mean, they should be able to get that done before the COs. If they're opening in a month, they should be able to get that done right away. I mean, it's not a big deal.
well, I guess it's a question of, do you want them to come back before this board, or we just condition it? I go out to the site and then I give it the thumbs up once the work's done.
I would be fine. I mean, just me, I'd be fine.
All right, as long as you guys trust me.
We can't have railroad tie islands put on top of asphalt later on. We're trying to. That's not right.
So I guess to tie Rebecca into this too, I guess the expectation is that we would get that Cape Cod berm would be placed as originally intended. And then we would probably get a completed as-built plan that would show the new handicapped parking relocation and the removal of that sign. And then I guess at that point I'll sign off once that's received.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the intent also is that the asphalt is removed in that area so that whatever is planted there can grow, correct?
I guess it's difficult to say, Pat, because I don't know what the intent of the original plan was. Because if it was if it was small shrubs, then I guess you could kind of get something rooted in there.
Well, is it counted as impervious area or not?
I would say no.
Rebecca, is it counted as impervious or no?
It was not. It was counted as a green open space area.
So it was not. I mean, okay.
With all due respect, the location of it and where it is in the parking lot, well, no matter what we do, it's gonna be plowed over, it's gonna be hit by cars, it's a tricky space and it's, I don't know, can we do a modification and take it out? I mean,
Why was it designed there? Are we better off taking it out?
I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but where it is with it's very tricky if you go out there and whatever is in there is going to be plowed, it's going to be hit, it's a hard space. So if there's something else we can do in lieu of that, I mean, to build, to dig into the concrete and then water getting in and running off because it's a slope. I don't know. Just,
Are we better off just to remove it altogether? Why was it put in the plan? And I know there was supposed to be a bunch of green space on the right of the building that was concreted or something. Is that why this was left? Because that was done.
The original design met the existing impervious surfaces by keeping the green space and that little bit added to that, plus the concrete that was on the side, which is now gravel and trees. So that there was, it was to meet the calculations of existing at the time.
Because the right side was supposed to be like the tree bed between the two properties and they ended up concrete now, right?
Yeah. But as you go, you start to realize certain things just don't work as well on paper as they do in the real world.
Are we creating a zoning violation, Shane, if we would just remove it?
Are you talking I would say no, because the intent, I would say the last time they were before us, they had 3 little planter things in that
Oh.
area, and we asked for them to have it meet the plan and have Cape Cod berm. So I would leave it up to you guys, whatever you want to do. If you want to remove the whole,
What's there is gonna last a month, right? And it's gonna be all over the parking lot, or it's gonna be unsafe, it's gonna get hit, it's not secured right. So, I mean, I think it needs to be done right, and you put some curving there, and you cut out the asphalt. I mean, I think if the intent is to just gonna go back and leave the asphalt there and slap some asphalt on top and fill it with 3 inches of loam, that's not doing anything either, right? So either do it right or rip it out. I'm fine with, I don't know what the board thinks, but maybe just rip it out.
I'm certainly fine with that. I think you're right. Anything you're gonna put there is just gonna get destroyed. So I guess the question, Shane, would be is how, so we don't hold them up, how would we
like I said,
go forward with doing something like that, or do they have to come back for another minor modification?
I would say that this, in terms of what they're doing, if they meet the requirements of what was originally approved, then I don't see an issue coming back. It's just a question of how you want to do it in terms of timing. If you want them to put Cape Cod berm there and dig it out, it may be difficult to do this season, especially when they were looking to open in the month. I guess you could bond it out for that, but at that point you're bonding out on a CO for I don't know what amount of money, probably like $1,000 or something, and then even then.
But it's not impervious area the way it's not pervious area the way it's built now anyway. There's asphalt under it. I mean,
Sure. No, I know there's been issues since the beginning of this project that island should have been put in. I agree.
so just, I mean, at this point, to help them move along, I think I'm not trying to be difficult. I just think what's there is kind of half done, and I think it's just going to be a disaster for them, a mess, and for patrons and safety. I think you can't have it there. So I think it needs to be done right and take it out. But I'm fine with either. Any more comments?
It's a tricky spot, and I think whatever we do, whatever we put in is going to be destroyed, whether through a plow or cars and cause a hazard. I mean, we put it there because it was in the original plan, and they paved over so much that we just, we had to add that in, and we just did the best we could, but it's no matter what goes in there is going to be destroyed, and it will be a hazard. It's a tiny little spot between 2 cars. I just, we'll do whatever you recommend that we do, but I think whatever is in there is going to be ultimately crushed.
So
All
this
right.
is
Does somebody have Does somebody on the board want to make a recommendation there?
Well,
Well,
first, maybe
well,
somebody, maybe, could I just have an answer? If it's taken out, what's the negative in taking it out?
It was less green space, but it's really not green space because there's asphalt under it anyway.
right. So I guess I guess I'll go back to the question that I asked before, Shane, is if the board decides that we just want to remove it, can we do that in this? Or does the applicant have to come back for another minor modification?
I would
Technically,
say
you
that
know, how does this work? I mean, it almost sounds like, you know, they're not gonna be able to get it in within the next month, if it's something we do. It's probably gonna, Cape Cod burn will be just as low as the wood that's sticking out. Nothing's gonna last in that thing. So, you know, I mean, I have no issue with them taking it out. I'm just curious, how do we do this without holding this project up?
Well, based on the way I placed on the agenda, it's discussion of the CO and conditions of that the minor modification that they gave in May. So if there's
Wow.
anything that we want to look at from that May modification that we kind of want to change or modify, I guess on the modification, I guess we could consider that as part of any motion or decision making. So rather than have to go back through the process of having that be removed and go through a minor modification, I think that the board can enact on this at this because it is properly noticed on the agenda.
Okay,
That's my feeling.
Yeah, I think we can accept the plan with a minor, as a minor, and have that removed as a minor modification all tonight.
yeah. And if they wanna, you know, if it's already striped and they wanna just stripe a bunch of crosses on it, that's fine too, so it looks like an island, painted island, but. You know, other than that. I don't think anything will last, so.
No.
All right. So we're just looking to get that wooden thing removed and then we are
Mr.
begin
Geller,
update.
Mr. Geller, do you want to make a motion for that?
Sure, I'll make a motion to remove the planter. In the parking lot. And just have it, you know, keep the pavement over it. And when they stripe it, they could stripe it as just a striped island, so all your parking spaces are the same size.
Okay. And then. Shane, could you do the motion, so
Can't hear you, Pat.
I couldn't hear you, Pat. Sorry, you said
You want us to endorse the as-built or no?
no.
Yeah.
I need it. I need the as-built updated. I don't need it to be. I would need, I guess, the as-built to be updated, which Silva can do easily, as well as the relocation. And then once I get that as-built, I'd be happy to sign off on any CO if the board's up for that.
All right.
All right. So we do have a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Steve, second by Mr.
Jemian.
Motion by Mr. Geller, second by Mr. Jemian. So I'll take the roll. Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Jemian,
Yes.
Geller,
Yes,
McDonald.
Yes.
Oh, yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a second on the agenda as a Form A, Mr. O'Brien.
Yes, I think Rebecca, you got it.
I do. Give me one moment. I'm still typing up what I gotta do for that last one.
You can just rewatch the YouTube video of this once it's on
Oh.
YouTube.
It's on YouTube now. Oh, boy. All right, plan of land, I can
Hold on,
share.
Hold on a second. Let me go to the.
Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, well, he said hold up, so I was holding up.
I'll find the agenda.
How are we doing here? All right,
Oh, I
There we
think,
go.
yeah, Pat wants to,
Right.
sorry.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry.
I'll go to, can you hear me now or no? I'm sorry tonight.
Yes, we can hear you. Sorry, it's okay.
All right, so item 4, other planning board items, A&R plan for 185 Whitman Street. Assessors map 43, lots 75 and 76.
All right, so plan of land, 185 Whitman Street is this existing dwelling here. And dividing it into what you see as 3 lots. 185 will sit on lot 3, a new lot 2, a new lot 1, and 2 parcels, well, 3 parcels, A, B, and C. This is just outside of Tukuska Circle and Pheasant Lane. I know Shane and I had gone back and forth a few times. If the board had questions, comments,
Mr. O'Brien,
thoughts.
all these meet frontage and they meet the building envelope and they meet everything, correct?
Yeah, that was some of the questions I had. In terms of meeting the frontage, the ones that are not labeled, the ones that are labeled, I guess, buildable lots do meet the required frontage of 125, as well as has existing dwellings on it, as well as parcels A, B, and C are labeled not as buildable lots, but as you can see with the notes, they may come before the zoning board as they do the proper area and frontage for retreat lots. So that was one of my questions, I guess, in terms of discussing with Rebecca. But yeah, it's just we wanted to make sure. There was also in the original A&R, I think I provided over to the board, there was a proposed easement on this plan. I asked for that to be removed because we don't typically. I just didn't want any confusion of a proposed easement, and they're going to come in with a separate easement plan because I think there's a existing driveway to get to one of the parcels right now
Yes.
that would require an easement.
All right, so
But,
we have a motion to, any more questions at this point? If there are no more questions, do we have a motion to endorse? You guys hear me?
we can hear you. You said a motion to endorse. You're looking for a motion.
I said, does anybody have anything to discuss on it, or questions, or is there a motion to endorse?
I'll make a motion to endorse.
Mr. Geller, is there a second?
Okay,
Is that Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
So I'll take the roll. Mr. McDonald?
Oh, Michael.
Yes.
Mr. Geller?
Yes.
Mr. Geller?
Said
Yes.
yes.
Did Mr. Haley say yes?
Yes.
No, you,
Mr. Jennings?
yeah,
I said Mr. McDonald already, correct? Yeah.
yes.
Let me, yes, okay. Great, thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you very much.
All right, right now we just have board business, item 5. We have the September 6th meeting minutes and the September 20th meeting minutes. Does anybody want to discuss those? Is there a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Mr. Geller, any discussion? Mr. Haley?
Oh, Ted, you're muted.
No discussion. Was that the question?
Oh, and then we're voting. Mr. Haley?
Oh, vote for
Aye.
the meeting minutes.
Yeah, am I on, was I on those both? I didn't hear the dates.
September 6th, September 20th.
I think I was at both of those. I'll accept those.
Yes, okay. Mr. Geller?
Yes.
Mr. Jennings?
Yes,
Mr. President?
Oh,
Cut out
Michael
on that
did.
one, Pat.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
you.
Shane, do you have anything else for us tonight or items for next meeting, board committee?
On the agenda, I did have a discussion of the 2024 meeting schedule. So I can pull that up. Give you guys of a couple dates that you're gonna have to, cancel dinners and other stuff around. So let me pull that up. Here's a list of the proposed schedule. If you guys want to vote on it, I can get it up on the website ASAP. But based on our typical meeting schedule, we hold things on the first and third meetings, and being cognizant of holidays, This would be the meeting schedule for 2024. I would just note, probably based on this schedule, based on the gap between June 5th and July 17th, we'd probably throw in some sort of special meeting in between that. That would be a special meeting that we wouldn't, we would eventually post and discuss at a earlier meeting. But this would be what we would have in terms of our regular schedule, considering holidays, for 2024. So,
Hey, and why no second meeting in June?
Juneteenth falls on a Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Do we want to make a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second,
Mr. Jimmy? Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy?
yes.
Mr. Geller?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, what's on for 12-6?
12-6, we have a subdivision. We have the Perkins Foundry. So we are working with, we have gotten a quote for the 53G for the stormwater review. So we're just waiting for a check from Perkins Foundry in order to start that process. So we potentially could have a stormwater review for that 6th meeting, as well as that was a continuation date for Claremont as well. So it looks like we'll have about three items for that meeting so far. So we're almost getting to the end of the year, so moving quick.
Sounds like there may be a chance we won't get the stormwater review for Perkins.
It really comes down to I don't start a process until I get a check, and so until I get a check, I can't. We have a
Yeah.
scope of services all set, and that we can we're comfortable signing off on. It's just a matter of I don't like to have a process move forward without a check.
Right. I like checks too.
Anything else?
What?
From staff or from the board?
No, not at this time, but we'll keep you guys in the loop. Just a point of information too. Responding to some issues with I know there's been some questions about some subdivisions going around town. So what I am working with Shristi on is to kind of compile a letter on behalf of the board to all the subdivisions that are kind of going on in town. I know winter's coming up, so I'm expecting some sort of progress report for ongoing subdivisions that are occurring in town. So I'll keep you guys in the loop in terms of what I hear back from people and how things are progressing. If you guys have any questions in general about things that are proceeding with site plans or anything that you guys have seen before the board, I'm happy to always answer them and kind of keep you guys in the loop.
Has anybody reached out to the subdivision off High Street? I know we talked about it last week about the gravel removal operation.
I haven't reached out yet. I'm trying to compile I got to compile some information as well as I'm trying to reach out to all subdivisions at the same time, but they'll be one of the which I will be reaching out to. So, and then I do have a project. I do have an as-built plan that I'm reviewing before me. I may ask the applicant to come before the board due to some of the changes from the original site plan review. But right now we're kind of working it. I'm trying to work out with the applicant to kind of allow them to get a CO and move forward. But ideally, we're as you kind of experienced right now firsthand. I'm having a lot of issues in terms of conformance reviews for certain projects for the last kind of a yearly update. But no, I appreciate you guys kind of agreeing with some of these issues, because you guys approve a plan and then you see it from an outcome as residents, and it's frustrating to see how projects kind of change when someone comes before a board and says, oh, we're going to do it this way. So no, I appreciate you guys' feedback on that, and looking to find solutions for some of the problem childs we have.
If nobody has anything else, we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
All right, I'll second it.
Discussion? Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy?
Yes, Pat, you gotta get your mic fixed again.
I know. And I'm a yes. You know, the other thing too is I can hardly talk. I have a terrible cold. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but
Perfect storm. All right, everyone, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Take it easy. Bye, guys.
All right,
You
thanks,
too.
everyone. Bye.
Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone.